Hello, beautiful people, yummy mummies, anybody who's listening to me right now. So this video I've called Being a Single Mummy because the first time round, well, for nearly 20 years, I was with my husband and, so my first few pregnancies, even though a couple of them miscarried, but obviously going through full-term pregnancy and having my beautiful daughter Anisha, I was always in that union with somebody else sharing everything with me. So this experience of having a baby now and being a single mummy due to lots of different circumstances, I'm actually happier than ever, okay? In fact, I'm really looking forward to the idea of being a single mummy. Now, the reason I'm sharing this particular video with you is just to give some reassurance and perspective for any single mummies out there who might be listening, but also just for anybody in general, really. So one of the reasons why I'm quite excited this time around is, firstly, I'm having a summer baby. The due date is the 28th of July. So initially I was like, oh my goodness, midsummer, being so big and heavily pregnant, and but then I was like, do you know what though? Maybe it won't be so bad this time. Because, I'm actually looking forward to being heavily pregnant, not really giving a shit, and having the whole bed to myself at night, sleeping naked if I want to, with the fan on me, and just not caring who sees me or anything, having the bed to myself, just being as comfortable as possible. Obviously, being with my partner before, I was sharing a bed. It was difficult to get comfortable anyway. I was constantly up and down in the night, and sometimes disturbing him as well. Yeah, and it was difficult. It was just difficult. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. Just having more space, time for myself. But another thing is that, when the baby was born, and throughout the first few years, really, it's just because it's also the way that I chose it to be, is that I wanted to be at home with the baby as much as possible. So my husband went to work and supported that for so long. But then you kind of have this, it depends what your other half is like as to how much support they give you. And not just the support they give you, but the role that they feel to also play within that child's world. And as much as they want to be a part of that child's world as well, some men or partners may have a slightly different idea. And it's not that they're selfish or bad or anything like that. It's almost like it's just not really part of their awareness yet to even think in that way, to offer or give or share different support. So I would sometimes find, him coming home from work and seeing me in my pajamas, because whenever I'm at home, even if I'm going back out in a couple of hours, I come home and I put my pajamas on to be comfortable. So he'd be like, oh, so what have you two been up to all day? His idea was very, like, sometimes you couldn't help feeling judged, and it's not that they mean to make you feel like that, but you can at times be so tired because you might have been up in the night with them. You might have had housework to do whilst they were sleeping, preparing bottles, pumping, like whatever it is that you had to get on and do, the other things that needed doing, places you had to go to, and you're trying to do all of this and you're quite lacking in sleep sometimes as well, if you're a bit sleep deprived. Sometimes just being on point constantly, even if you're not sleep deprived, like you have to stay so focused. Like your baby, you're enjoying the time, but you're also their comfort. You're also trying to remain in tune with their needs as and when they need and want something, whether they're happy, if they're teething and they're in pain, if anything, you know, if you need to nurture, comfort, console them, anything you need to do. And that takes a lot of our energy. And if we're not being honored with time and space to replenish ourselves also, that can really start to become depleting over days, weeks, months. So sometimes, you know, when the other half feels like if they've been at work all day, they're the ones that have been working hard. I used to say, wait a minute, have you not had like 2 half-an-hour breaks where you can just stop and do nothing? Put your feet up. But sometimes he'd tell me he'd read a book or he'd just go to sleep for half an hour. I didn't get a chance to do that today. So, you know, you feel like sometimes it's easy to feel like you're being judged. Sometimes like it's never enough. Also, you're feeling quite divided quite often because you want to give yourself completely to this beautiful new life that's now a part of you, with you, sharing this world with you, that you have been gifted the responsibility to take care of them and nurture them and, you know, guide them. But you also have this other half that wants your attention, time and love as well. And I used to sometimes find that quite difficult. And we were much younger then, you know, going back 14 years ago, we were much younger, and just where we were at in that, because sometimes age isn't anything to do with it, it's where you're at in your own evolutionary stage, I think, a stage of awareness, and neither of us were that advanced back then, let's just say. So we didn't have a certain awareness maybe to I might have been feeling quite victimized, like, oh, you don't understand, and but he didn't really know how to at the time. That's just how it was. So depending what kind of a relationship you already have and what your partner is like, you know, you may have, I know people who have got some wonderful partners who really take on that real supportive role with the baby and really try to share the responsibility as well. Because my other half had to go to work, it was always me that had to get up with the baby in the night. Because he had to get up early to go to work and he couldn't feel tired for work, obviously. So it was always me. Sometimes I would feel a little bit angry at the weekends when he might want to have a lay-in till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'd been up since 4 o'clock in the morning with the baby. And by the time he'd get up, I would just be so angry towards him. And these things, they can sometimes cause arguments because we're kind of stating our needs, how we feel about things. And, you know, sometimes he would say to me things like, well, I've been working hard all week, getting up, going to work, getting up early. It's the weekend, I deserve a lie-in. And I'd be like, so when do I get my lie-in? When do I, like, I'm having to be up. I'm working hard all day. I'm looking after the baby. I'm up in the nights every night. I'm up early every morning. When do I get my time? And that took a little bit of drumming in over a period of time before he was like, oh, okay. And then he took the time to sort of, after a while, he'd maybe get up a bit earlier at the weekend and go, all right, you go back to bed. But there's this thing with us mums that it's difficult to shut off, like, completely, because now I'm feeling like there's a slight guilt there that he's not getting his lie in. And then I was feeling, oh, but if she's crying, upset, you're still on this hyper alertness for the baby because you're so used to it. And if they're just in the next room to you, it's very hard to just shut off and go to sleep and to rest. So it's like this mental conditioning. So when you're in a partnership with somebody else, sharing the role and responsibility of parenting your child, we start to gather these expectations and ideals of what it's meant to be like. So our expectations of them being a certain way, playing up to a certain role, and when they don't quite meet that expectation that we have implied from our own belief system, or what we think or how it should be, we can start getting really annoyed and frustrated by that. The thing is, this time round, I don't have that about anybody else. I know it's just going to be me and my oldest daughter. I know she's going to be a great help, bless her. And she's really excited. But yeah, I know it's just going to be me. So there is no sort of greater expectation of getting that from anywhere else. So you're already kind of in the mindset to just get on with it. I know that I'm very fortunate. My dad lives not too far away, and that there'll be times that he'll be coming, playing with the baby or taking the baby for short periods, and I might get a little bit of rest now and then. But I don't have any fear or worries about any of that to come this time. I know that if I was still in that same partnership, that I would have those worries or expectations of all the negatives repeating themselves again, maybe. But like I said, not every unionship is like that. Not every partnership is like that. But for me personally, this is one of the reasons that I'm looking forward to it. And what I used to find is I felt my workload, if anything, double when I was with my partner and the baby. When it was just me and the baby, I could cope with that fine. When it was the three of us, it felt like I had to work so much harder in some ways, because I was having to divide myself between the two of them, and also that I was having to make extra food for when he got home. So I was having, where everything was sort of timed and based around the baby up until 5 o'clock in the evening. Then when my husband was going to be getting home from work, everything was suddenly based around him and what he was doing. So what time we were going to have our dinner, me having dinner ready, me starting to prepare dinner that sort of half an hour or more just before he was coming home. And that's with the baby being around as well. But all these different things, and some days that could be difficult. Most days I just got on with it and I was quite happy with it. But I was always aware that I had more work to do because he was going to be coming home. So, I tried to do his sandwiches for work the next day. I was trying to fit the role of being a good wife and that expectation of being a housewife kind of thing, and trying to fit into the perfect mold of what that's expected to be, trying to please him as much as possible, as well as trying to be the best mum that I can. So we have all these different expectations. The person that I am today would not feed into that, because I'm a very different person today. I have a very different understanding of the world, belief system. So it would be different anyway. If I ever was to have another relationship, it would be very different, because I wouldn't allow it to be anything like it was before, just because of my experiences. And that's not from trauma, it's through experience and gaining wisdom and gaining a deeper self-respect for myself, and supporting my environment, my world, and the people that are a part of my world, that support me too. So I have a lot of love to give to people. However, I've become very wise where not to waste my energy as well now. And that's not to do with my partner, but just in general with people. So I love everybody. I'm here for everybody. But we all have to be very wise as to what is for our own and others' highest good. And as much as we sometimes want to help other people, we have to be aware within ourselves where we are overstepping the mark, and maybe depleting our energy in places where it's not being valued. Okay, so it's important to give, but for others to value your role as a friend, as a mother, as a daughter, as whoever you are, whichever role you fill to different people. So yeah, actually, you know, I'm really excited about being a single mummy. There's a couple of single mums that I knew through, from the school playground and different things, and other mums who were in the typical family dynamic setting, almost like came across with this pitying attitude, like, oh, but they have it so hard because they're on their own. When you talk to a lot of these mums, they had a lot of support with friends, with close family, parents who maybe helped them a lot, and yeah, though it was just them and the child and they were the main responsibility, they also had like a bit of a support network, which was wonderful. And I used to say to them, yeah, but in so many ways I actually envy them. Like, I think they have it easier than us, even though we have our partners at home. Like, there's a huge part of me that thinks that they have it so much easier in lots of ways. So this time around, it's like I'm being given the opportunity to put that notion into action and see how it plays out. Now, obviously, there's things like being able to share certain cute moments with somebody who feels that you feels the same about your child to you do, because maybe only that other person, that biological connection, could feel the same way. But I don't even believe that anymore. This last few years, I don't believe that a bit of sperm makes a father. Being a father makes a father. I don't believe that having life pass through you and enter the world through your vagina makes a mother. Being a mother, choosing to be a mother, is what makes a mother. So it's about us playing out these roles and these responsibilities that on a soul level we are we are vowing our souls to, dedicating ourselves to, and making these soul promises to these lives that are coming to us, to be nurtured and supported in life. So they don't have to biologically come from you for you to make that soul vow and to have that heart connection with another human being, with another child. I've always felt very loving towards all children. I love children, and working with children over the years and in the past, I've always been aware that I am so able to love lots of different children as if they were my own. If that child is in my responsibility, I take full responsibility for that child in that moment, and I love them and I nurture them, and I'll give and do whatever I need to for them during that time. And I don't think that's just me. I'm sure there's lots of people in the world like that as well. But there are a lot of people that kind of also have this belief that, when it's your own, it's very different and da-da-da-da. But I'm sure there's lots of families out there now that have taken on other people's children as well, that actually have, I know that there's a guy that shared himself with me a few years ago who told me that the son that he feels the closest to and has the greatest bond and connection with is the one that is not biologically his. So the mother is the mother to all the children, and all the other children are his except one. But the one that actually isn't biologically linked to him is the one that he is the closest to. So, you know, it's just so in the future, if I was to meet anybody, they would have to be somebody of that awareness, I guess, of that same sort of feeling. But I know that there's lots of people out there who feel like that just in general as well, just with all children anyway. So having a biological link doesn't give greater status, let's say. So yeah, there is lots to look forward to. I can really just focus my time on just being a great mummy and not feeling torn. When I was younger as well, even being with my partner at the time, I went through this phase of feeling like I was missing out on life somehow, like I was missing out on certain things. That because a lot of my friends, I was 23 when my daughter was born, and I was the first of any of my friends or anybody to have a baby. And it felt like everybody was still going out partying, doing all these different things, having all these wonderful experiences. And I kind of felt a little bit, not left out, but limited in what I could and couldn't do now that I had a baby and this extra responsibility. And I don't feel that now. Maybe being a little bit older has something to do with it, but I don't even think it's age. It's a mental state. It's this state of when you have done a lot of self-healing and inner development work with yourself, you are able to find peace, joy, happiness, love in some of the simplest of settings. And you kind of start to gather a greater sense of gratitude for the simple things as well. Maybe life experiences do really help us to embody some of those wisdoms and those understandings of the world and the self. But I don't even believe that sometimes we have to have certain experiences to be able to have that level of compassion, self-worth, self-esteem, because that's what it was in the past with me. A lot of the time it was the lacking of self-worth and self-esteem that had me just feel not good enough for so many different things. And I'm in a very different state of mind now, and space in self. I've done a lot of self-healing work over the years. A lot of meditation, a lot of self-exploration through meditation with much assistance from my guides, the cosmic beings, feeling more aligned in the God energy. And yeah, so I'm in a very different space to what I was 14 years ago. But if you don't feel necessarily in that space within yourself now, it's not too late to work on that. It's not too late. Sometimes if you feel like if you're missing out on anything, this is even once you become a parent, if you feel like you're missing out on anything, if you feel lacking in any way, explore that sense of lack and where it's coming from. If there is anything to do that you can do on a physical sense to change things slightly to help you to be happier, like I've said in a previous video about honouring your feelings, I think it's video 2, honouring your feelings, and just being aware and listening to your feelings. But sometimes it's not what's on the surface that's trying to tell you something. It goes deeper. We have to find the root to where this is coming from, so that we can basically uproot the negative and get rid of it. There was a seed originally planted that's triggering certain feelings that we're having now. It's just the experiences we are having us re-experience these feelings. So it's not always what appears to be on the surface. Sometimes we need to dig a little deeper to realize what's going on. And again, if anybody wanted to have any sessions with me for some soul guidance, for some unraveling of some of these planted seeds from the past that may be affecting us today, or anything that you just want to share, or if you feel you want guidance with, then please do contact me. You can contact me with my email, which is sunita.rocket@yahoo.com, or on Facebook. Rocket is double T. Okay. So yeah, please do. And it's never too late. You're never too far, even in pregnancy, to do some inner reflecting work. As I've mentioned before as well, that we can, by healing aspects of ourselves, we can also heal those aspects already within our growing baby inside of us. Okay. But have no fear, whatever your situation is right now, it's absolutely fine, and you are going to be fine. There are things, sometimes we think, oh my goodness, am I up to the job? Can I do this? Am I strong enough? Trust me, you are. This baby chose you for a reason, and everything is going to be fine. Maybe one of the biggest hurdles of being a single mum might be financially for some of us. But still, there are such simple ways we can find joy and pleasure that don't cost a penny. And the love and time and attention that you give your baby is the greatest and most important thing. And that doesn't cost anything. Okay? God bless. I love you lots.